Hey guys, welcome back. So we're going to start working on the garden bed. We got a lot of work ahead of us, and this project has been ever evolving and changing. I'm going to go over our project, what we've got planned so far, and then we're going to start by cutting the sod and removing some of the things in that area to get the whole area set up to start the project itself. Now, with the price of lumber going up and everything, it's going to take a lot longer than our May 31st original deadline. So stick with us. We got a lot of work ahead of us, and we're going to try to get everything in the ground as soon as we can. The garden area is going to be about 32 feet by 40 feet, and it's going to be surrounded by a 6-foot fence. Now to start with, we're going to be adding cattle panels, which are about 50 inches tall and about 8 feet wide. And they're going to go between 4x4s that we're going to place in the ground. Right now we have about 18 4x4s going into the ground. We've decided to put 2 gates, one on the north and south side of the fence. Each gate is going to have 2 panels at 4 feet wide to have an 8-foot opening. We wanted to add 2 gates because we have the kids' playset on the north side of the garden, and we wanted to be able to access them if we needed. Also, we wanted the gates to be wide enough so if we have any machinery that we need to drive in there or to move in there, we could do it with ease. We decided this year on 4 beds. They're all going to be L-shaped, about 48 square feet. So they're going to be 8 feet long by 8 feet wide for the outside of the L, but the inside is going to be 4 feet each. We're going to set them up where the insides of the L are all going to be facing the center, and the way we have it arranged, we're hopefully going to be able to add more beds in the future if we decide to. Now the original plan for the inside of the fence was to have a perimeter, a 3-foot perimeter of bedding. That bedding was going to have plants surrounding the raised beds and then have pea gravel throughout the center of the garden itself. But we decided against that. So instead of having this defined area where there's a 3-foot bed, we're going to have a more organic look and feel by having mulch just put down over the entire area. We're still going to plant those areas and still going to have plants on the perimeter of the garden, but the hope is that it's going to be more organic and more flowing and with no real definition of where the garden begins or ends. Now the area is cleared out. We're going to do our perimeter cut, and then we're going to start doing the rest of it. Now we're removing the sod because we want to minimize our weed and grass growth. We're going to put down a weed barrier and then the mulch on top of it once everything is up and running. We're using a Ryan Jr. sod cutter that we rented from Equipment Rentals Incorporated in West Bend. We're going to be using the Hugelkultur method. We're going to put a base layer of wood at the bottom of these garden beds, and then we're going to put the sod right on top of it. And on top of that, we're going to put the soil and eventually the garden blend mix that we're going to create. This method is going to enrich the dirt over time and save us a little bit of money. We'll show you in a later video how to set this up and explain the process. Alright, there's a valuable lesson here. When you cut sod, roll up right away. Don't wait a couple weeks to finish rolling it, because what ends up happening is the roots reestablish themselves in the ground, and you end up having to use a shovel to re-dig everything you just cut with the sod cutter, making the work twice as hard. water source in the garden. So we're going to run a water line starting at the house right around this spigot out to the garden, right around the second post. We're going to drop a spigot here so we can have a hose and a secondary tap where we're going to run a drip line out to all the beds on a timer. So whatever we didn't use in that center area for the garden beds itself, we put back in this pile. This is going to be our sod compost. Now the proper method is that every piece of sod that you put down here is going to go face down, roots up, and then you're going to soak each piece prior to adding the next piece. And then you stack it up as high as you need. Well, we didn't do that because it took a while for us to get to this point in the project. So I put the sprinkler on top and we'll soak the whole thing the best that we can. And then we pile it up with everything we've got. Once everything is saturated, you can use a black tarp to fully block out the sun. We used a 20-foot by 20-foot tarp, which was significantly too big. But we are going to use stakes and rocks to weight it down to make sure that no light gets in and that tarp isn't going to go anywhere. Now, they say the method could take up to 6 months to a year. We're going to wait until next spring, and the hope is that we're going to have this enriched, dark, fertilized soil that we can use. Now, they do say that you can speed up the process by adding a nitrogen fertilizer to the pile. We haven't done that so far, but once we finish the garden beds, we'll see how much sod we have left. We may have to add the rest of that sod to this pile, and at that time, we'll decide whether or not we're going to add fertilizer and soak it further.
All right, this is the beginning. We've started, we've got the sod up and the compost started. We still have a lot of work ahead of us, but it's going to be a lot of fun. Next, we're going to start digging the posts and laying down a water line. So stay tuned, see what we have to come. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you soon.